We are going to interview Marco Antonio Salas. He is the subdirector of Riesgos por Inundación. Hello, we are with Marco Antonio Salas. He is going to tell us a little bit about the disaster occurred in Chalco. Hello, Master, and thank you for the interview.
Cenapred stands for National Prevention Center for Disasters. It's the technical part of National Civil Protection. We study what could happen and where could it happen, and we give some recommendations to prevent bad things. We need to know that the zone of Valle de Chalco is the lowest part in Old Mexico City. Aztecs established in a large lake in this zone. In the 60s and the 70s, the drainage was built. Large sewage tubes that cross the city. An important part of this drainage are tubes that we called a cielo abierto. Those are tubes that we can see. That is the case of Canal de la Compañía, which goes from Chalco to the Gran Canal. For controlling the sewage that comes from the high zone, we have little dams, which do the work of containing the water.
So, what happened in Chalco? Was the drainage overflowed and did cause floods?
Well, yes and no. It is a plain zone, so that the canal is old, and originally it was designed with a slope going to the exit of the canal for the water to flow that way. So, as we have overflowing problems, what happens is that the canal that originally was like this, now it has less slope, and in some cases the water flows the other way. Here is the canal. The thing is that the next to the canal there are houses, there is people. The right part is completely full of houses. Here in the left part there are no homes, but a little bit forward it is the same story. It is completely invaded.
Could you show us a map of risks?
Risk is that some disaster could affect a place like Chalco, and that destruction turns into money. So how much money we would have to spend? How many people could be affected if an event could occur? So there could be places where if a flood happens, and they have houses made of cardboard, of course, they will be more affected than if they had partition walls. It's like the story of the three pigs. The one which had the house of straw was more vulnerable than the one with the house made of wood. And then the one that has the wood was more vulnerable than the one which had partition house. So it's how much you can be affected by floods in this case. Here we see the highest part, and if we turn here it falls a little, but is higher. So the thing is that the whole zone stays like a little hydrologic basin. So everything that goes here flows and goes to the Canal de la Compañía and exits here. If the amount of water that will pass in the canal is 100 liters, and the canal has a capacity for carrying only 80, we are in trouble, because the 80 will pass, but the other 20 will flood. But if the canal has 100 liters of capacity, and what we are calculating are 80, there will be no problem. A common problem that we are having in the drainage is that there are a lot of trash. So we can start with not throwing trash in any place, neither in the street or in the public places, because with the wind and in the rain it will end in the drainage, and that clogs the drainage. So when it rains, it is like the strainers are stopped because of the trash. Everything like cans of food, sticks of the trees. Here we see how it is flooding. This is the first part of the floods, and after that, blue color, there are houses, here are homes. With these specialized programs, we can see which places are the first to be affected, which aren't. Actually, these zones which are the lowest are the first ones to be affected.
So, thank you for this interview.
You're welcome.